Yeah, thanks for coming, everybody. You just talked about, when you know projects, there are people, process, and technology. I think Brett was talking about technology. I want to talk more about perhaps processes, and specifically one about materials management. Materials management is that's what I do, that's what I love, and do you actually know that around every day $1 billion is procured through the system? Every day, $1 billion, every day. That's very interesting. What do you think is one of the biggest problems in a project execution? Why there are delays? Why there are overruns? Engineering is doing the engineering. I think at least on the top three is material be not there that you expect. The window, the special customized window you received is damaged. The items you expected are not there, they're wrong. And what happens is, it's not just the materials, it's a kind of a butterfly effect. So the materials is not available, the crew can't start, they do nothing. Now it's delayed by a day or 2 days. But the other crews are coming in, but this is not done yet. So what they're doing? Because the whole construction sequence is just out of sync, right? And my presentation is really more around materials management and what I think this can help in this industry. So first of all, just in overall, what is really important is, if you talk about engineering and architecture, in the moment, you think about when you put objects in the model, that these objects have a name, have a description, have properties. Right? Not just a graphic object. So you need to have a name for something. So if it's in the model, then obviously, for example, Autodesk put this in model with different technologies. There's logic behind it. So it's not, do we know it's a rail or a window, whatever object it is, with this length and weight and catalog number, manufacturer, whatever it is. Because at the end, this is what you need in the model. You don't want to have a model, it's just a graphic. Right? Obviously you have new builds, obviously we have new builds, but also the normal process. There are also projects just to renovate or just remove something. There's a whole exercise of project scheduling. Microsoft Project, Primavera, I think these are the two tools. But then there's a whole supply chain. That's a normal process, and the whole construction, right? So I want to focus, this is a whole overview, basically. Put this all in the middle, but saying, this is now I don't want to talk about 3D, I want to talk about what's after 3D. Because I think I feel, in my opinion, we are missing the point somewhere. We have engineers that build this 3D model, and that's all nice, we do 4D, 5D around it, and then, still we have overruns, right? So we all do this. You want to know what you really have. You want to know that the supply chain is in sync in terms of your construction sequence and construction schedule, whatever schedule you have, right? You want to have the whole visibility. What if you can just go somewhere? Hey, what is the status of the special item we expect to have in 4 weeks? Is it really coming? You just go there, enter the number, and then it says, it's still in Germany, and the inspection will be done in 1 week, and then we'll come over with it, whatever. I said Germany because I'm originally from Germany. So, anyway, then obviously with building construction, this is mainly managing the labor. So supply chain managing the materials, the physical materials, but also managing the labor, the crews. So they are optimized. And then we are talking about the whole, as you see, the optimization of crews, when they are coming in or not coming in. And then perhaps see the 4D, 5D, the simulation. Okay, we start here level 1, level 2, level 3. Oh, I can't start level 2 because the structural beams are not arrived yet. Whatever it is. You know, in all this picture, there's whole dependencies. And it's not just, so it's all dependencies, the common data environment. So I'm not talking, so here I had a customer, they had, you know how many applications they had to run a project? How many apps they had? 400. Now think about it. If you want to know what the status is, and you have 400 different applications, software applications, it's almost impossible, you know. It was by disciplines, by different departments. You're looking for something to improve this industry. It's something that's integrated, it shares information, it enriches information from 3D model, goes to supply chain, and then managing the crews. So that all this information is together. The whole process basically be integrated. Make sense? Yeah. For me it makes sense, you know. Anyway, let me concentrate a little bit on supply chain, because it's my baby, that's what I do. I also do construction. I do a lot, but so I said, when you do supply chain, you have this 3D model. Now imagine this 3D model is enriched with informations. You can get an MTO out of it. Perhaps today you take an MTO and put this in an Excel sheet, whatever you do. You don't want to put this in Excel sheets. You want to put this in a database with a user interface on top of it, and then have the MTO, and then summarize the MTOs. Hey, we need so much material now, we need so much material then, and yada yada yada. It also enables you later, if a change is coming in, to compare. Suddenly you can compare MTOs. Forget Excel. You know, you can compare MTOs. Now it's this much more, this much less. You design something, but the material is already delivered. It's already customized. You can't change the design. What you're doing, you know. So, and then also in these worlds, I mean, it's not just happening. It's a global market for you. You're buying materials all over the world. So, it needs to be a whole system, globalized, one user interface, where you go in, as I mentioned, and see the status. You know, and it's true for everything. It's not just true for regardless which software you're using. This is how you should do it. This is how the industry should do it. And this, for example, the $1 billion I mentioned is spending every day. That's how they do it. That's the way they know this is now the status of the materials. It sounds like sometimes materials management is boring, but it's a must. It's something you can't do it without, you can't install something without having the materials. And it really is an effect on material delays, on project delays. If you even now imagine if you even can summarize all the MTOs very in early phase, you might even get better discounts from suppliers. You can summarize. That's all what you then can do, right? So these are typical questions. This is a project manager question every day. Do we have enough what we need for tomorrow, for 2 weeks, in 4 weeks? This is what we do. Have we paid everything? Do you want to pay somebody based on information that's not... You want to pay somebody who's really based on what you delivered, that it's not damaged, and it's what you see. You know. So this is a normal process. So that's... When I talk materials management, it's about the whole process. It's not just procurement. It's also what I said, it's the MTO phase, bill of materials, the requisitioning phase, the whole purchasing phase, but then also the whole construction phase, warehousing, and then give the material to the crews, and then see how much is left. Do we need to reorder, and all this. So it's a whole process. And if it's international, not just domestic, when we talk about shipments, customs, suddenly this customized equipment is sitting in customs, you know. So you have documents, certifications behind it, and all this. It's kind of obviously what we have as a user interface. Just now, it's there, And this is a talk. Perhaps this is too much. I'm not sure how much detail I want to go. I just have this to share with you. Based on the project sizes, you want to be scalable. Perhaps what you want to do, or during project types. So let's say the idea we have, the processes you have can be scaled. So there's one process. You just cut a PO. One process, you get engineering involved because there's equipment needs. One process, we also do this. And then it just grows and grows and grows. But in overall, these are the processes for the whole materials management. And then based on project types and templates and industry, we have a different. But everything is happening in one database. So even you can be at the warehouse and look for this item and know where it came from which MTO, from which PO, from which bill of lading list, whatever it was. So this project is in trouble. Based on the construction sequence in 4D, half of the project is in red. You click on the red, and then these are the items that are delayed. These are the items you need in 4 weeks. Not the items that are delayed today. We already know, based on your schedule, these items will not make it where you need it in time. Then you have all this reporting where customers say, hey, these are the items, these actually, the other ones, there's no PO. They are on the MTO, they're on the model, but nobody ordered them. Happens, right? So in a very, very easy way. We call it forecasting. Forecasting the material needs. You don't want to get in trouble tomorrow. You want to know the forecast over the next, let's say, 3 months. Is the materials management supply chain in sync with the construction sequence? In sync of the material needs? Because you don't want to buy anything today and then get it delivered tomorrow. You want to have it also kind of in a certain way, right? Then obviously, procurement status curves, everything is fine on different mobile devices and all this. This is what customers are doing, and I have some case studies. This is what they're doing. And it's even, Brett was saying, projects are getting more complex. Projects, they're getting more complex. Perhaps, I remember, perhaps 15, 20 years ago, we talked about model sizes of megabytes. Now perhaps the model size is gigabytes, several gigabytes, right? We all know this. And when you talk about a complex project, suddenly you have millions of items. Millions, right? There's one thing, now we also can automate things. So normally, materials management, now materials arriving in the warehouse. Would it be not nice to see the status, where actually the location of the material is? Or is it now on the truck? Or is it now wherever? And there's a whole RFID technology. So if you put on an equipment item, on any item, an RFID with a GPS, it will show up in materials with this red dot. Here it is. And you see it. Here it is. Then you know that the material is on its way. You even can click on the dot and say, what is now the status? And, So an RFID tag is around, I think in Australian dollar, perhaps $50 with RFID and GPS. But there's also passive RFID, and they're perhaps just $5, And then there are really cheap ones. These are little chips. They're perhaps just 50 cents. So based on intelligence of the sensors, you actually then know the location of the item. And this is very important also in countries that perhaps the crime rate is pretty high. We had in Malaysia, they had, it sounds strange, but they're working on a new terminal, and they got steel plate stolen, in a value of $5 million, just stolen. You know, so they put RFID tags now on it. Just now because they know there are no tags on it. You know, so kind of interesting. So this technology that exists today, and is part of this process of materials management. So not just, and also what it does is when you receive material and the tag is on it, so really is sent an RFID tag. Hopefully you know what it is. I have not explained what it is. So it's radio frequency identification. Then you also know you received the right one. How many times you were not sure if this is now the item we need, what is the other one, because they look similar. Anyway, and it's all mobile, so item is not damaged or not damaged and whatever. So pretty interesting. So I've put several case studies together. When I see what customers are doing when they're connecting the 3D model and do more. Right? So having this 3D model, so one is Vale I put together. So I think you know they're in Brazil, and there are several infrastructure projects. And I just put this picture again on it, just to explain to you what they're concentrating on. So they're concentrating basically on the construction and the supply chain. So when you talk about the whole BIM effort, and let's saying this is all this, so Vale is doing the site work and work packaging, the 4D, 5D visualization, and all this. Obviously, and they have several projects, so it's $10 billion they have spent. That's from a couple of years ago. And one was they basically got all the inputs they needed. You see now the models, 18 gig model, so they're huge, right? And so they use our construction technology for 4D and 5D planning, and materials for materials management planning. And here you can see it's one building they have structure. So how this is kind of video. Quality is okay, but you can see it's kind of real what they're doing. It was what they have done 2 years ago. And then they're connecting this information with the supply chain. So they're currently now in 4 projects. They saved money, and they want to do this in 5 more projects. So after 3D model, doing more supply chain and doing more 4D, 5D. So they're saying that is, without this you can't execute actually anymore. I mean, how you want to analyze all these items? There are millions of items, and here are different kind of projects. So you see here some pictures, but the one that's really interesting is. I think it's called a new heavy rail in the Amazon. So that all the work, the site preparation work, the concrete work, whatever the work is what they're doing with our solutions. And that's when they call the project is S1110D. So through the Amazon, basically, I don't know exactly where all this is, but from here and then the rail obviously to the terminals, to the shipping terminals. It's 700 kilometers. That's very interesting. So it's 700 kilometers, and they all control this with materials management and different steps and different planning steps and different scheduling, and got it done. And here's what they're saying. Smart construction and materials, they just see what's going on. Because if you know something is happening, I put this in red. Red means good, not bad. So just to highlight the point. They just see, just knowing all this information, we we can decide just quicker. We can make the right decisions. You don't want to fly blind and then just build your business on hope. You want to make decisions based on facts, right? So I got the 2-minute warning. And then there's one company, actually, we have here Caliber here in Australia, using our information, our materials management. I forgot the name, but specifically also for the supply chain. And the problem they had was, hey Michael, we are doing mainly Excel sheets and report, and we need to report the status every month and so on and so on. And we really, it's so much work to do. We need a better system to do this. So they basically had a project getting the bill of materials and MTOs, as I'm saying here, go through the procurement cycle. They differently streamlined all the processes, and they knew that this information is correct. And everybody were able to see this information because they can go into the web, they can go on the database and see what's going on. So in this case, actually, for one project, they said, one saving we had it's just one saving. We spent 1 month's work of just generating reports. This exercise is just gone. Just because this exercise is gone, the software paid for itself. So definitely you can say they saved more. So even some companies are saying, without having this, we were not able to do this project anyway. So it's all happening and in a good way. And another one is, so that's what I basically have said. I don't know if you know Shaw. I just see your name. But they said, yeah, it improves productivity. It's something where the first feedbacks from the industry coming. If you connect after the 3D, you do materials management, there will be savings. Will be. That's what our customers are saying. Then even so far, if they have done this once, remember Vali, they did this 4 times already, they will now do this in every project. So it's not like they tried it and failed and next. No. They do it, love it, next project. And then it's part of their processes. Just part of it. Another one is, that's very interesting, London Olympic Centre. So you might know CH2M, they are a huge project management company and all this. And they're using materials management, supply chain, and contract management. And they were using this. Obviously the London Olympic Centre, there is no wiggle room for every delays, right? Because the Olympic will be on this day. So they're concentrating on the supply chain again, and that it was a $4 billion project, 8,000 construction workers they need to get done, and they did it. Now they're already working on the next stadium. As you can see, they're working now on Qatar. Because 2022 will be a strange building, I think we're all air controlled in Qatar. Working on it. They had so many suppliers involved in everything in this. So many suppliers involved. You can't do this without any robust software, with robust technology that's available, right? So there was a vice president of CH2M obviously saying all was good and was all done. So it was success, was success. So my summary is very easy. I'm very passionate about it, but as you can imagine, materials management, from MTO to construction site, is just a must. I can't imagine doing this in Excel, doing this, wing this. There's just so much people winging stuff, and it's happening. Savings are there. hopefully you enjoyed my presentation today. Any questions? Well, panel at the end with questions then. Hopefully. Okay. Thanks everybody.